everybody, and welcome to SkillDiff, where we have a show about differing opinions and differing skill set, and sometimes different hosts.
That's right. I'm CJ. I'm here. I'm filling in for Patrick in his absence, but hopefully I can stand up to the test of Dylan Sinnott, so we'll see.
Oh, that's a hard test. So today on our agenda, we're going to be hopping into, there's a new #1 in League of Legends. VCT, the playoffs are set, and there's some craziness going on in the landscape of college esports. So we're going to talk about all of those, but first things first, we're hopping into Call of Duty.
Love it.
Over the weekend, we got to see playoffs get set for the upcoming Major 3. Boston, they're sitting at the top. Them and 100 Thieves tied for the #1 slot, 4-1 over the split. So we got to give Boston some flowers. What are your thoughts? Are they legit top 4 team for real?
It's interesting. I was looking at the strength of schedule. They played the Ultra, they played the Falcons, they played the Gorilla Mates, they played C9, and then they lost to the Rocker.
Yeah. Not a hard run.
Not a hard run. I mean, ultimately, it's interesting they did beat the Ultra in there.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest surprising point. But ultimately, not a huge strength of schedule. I don't really expect them to do a lot with this. I think they've gotten a really cool opportunity to just squeak out a couple wins. But I really don't think, who are they playing in the first round? They're playing Optic Texas the first round. So they should win that, but they're going to end up playing, I believe, against Faze after that.
Yeah, it's going to get hard quick.
Yeah, so it's going to be really tough on that second round. They can win, and then ultimately it's only going to get tougher from that point. I don't expect them to go super far. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think to your point, I mean, you didn't quite emphasize as much as I would want to, but the bottom 4 teams are who they played.
Exactly.
And then they played Ultra. But then the Ultra one, they had the weird internets. They forfeited, technically didn't play the whole series. But they are a 5-0 control team. That is really significant. That is impressive. That is good stats in their line.
Yep.
The problem is that the team outside of that looks kind of dicey at times. Cammy, very, very forgettable when it comes to hardpoint. Insanely clutch when it comes to search and destroy. So you're like, what version of this system are you going to get? Because, are you going to get this hardpoint where you can't win anything? Or are you going to get search and destroy clutches? Because at the end of the day, you got to play 2 searches.
Yeah.
The last one's a search. Maybe the most important one's a search. So it's not the worst place to be in if you are those guys. But like you said, first game's going to be against Texas. That's going to be hard. Yeah. I think it's going to be much closer than people realize. Then the next one, I don't know how well they're going to be able to do against that. But the good news is they've put themselves in such a good position because, now they've moved themselves, I believe, up to 6 in the CDL standings. They're reasonably clear of Optic in that 8 seed. So, hey, here, if you manage to sneak out an opening round win over Optic, you're basically 2 or 3 regular season matches away from punching your ticket to champs.
Yeah, and they're winning their control, too. That's the other thing. Winning that game 3 is really impactful. If you win game 1 or 2 and you're winning game 3, you're kind of a shoo-in for game 5 at least, right? Totally. And then it's just about taking a hard point off of somebody. And I think that is a big thing that we've seen a change from the Boston Breach is that winning of control. But it's, I don't know. They're so streaky, and it's a team that's kind of unproven in ways. The Awakening has been around for a long time. He can slay and have big moments, but he doesn't always, right? So tried and true, I don't know if he's going to make it every single time.
And Cammy has been clutch when you need him, but he's also been clutch against the 4 worst teams in the league. Yeah. So it's the matchup we saw over the weekend.
Beating up on little kids,
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the matchup over the weekend where they're playing the Falcons. That was a good series, but that's a team that is literally dead last and just changed their roster. So they're going to be playing real teams this weekend, so I guess we'll get to see.
Yeah, we will absolutely see. I hope they go far, but I don't think they will. The next one, are we worried about the Atlanta Faze? They haven't really done well in this little mix match. They've had a strength of schedule that's been a little bit interesting, but they haven't really performed to the Faze that won the last major and has been scary and beaten everybody. What do you think?
100%. They call themselves the Tiny Terrors, and honestly, they've been tiny and terrible. Those 2 players have been the worst. Simpadabizi, I'd wrote it down as 0.92 KD in the split. That is, I would be willing to wager that is the first time those 2 have been negative probably since before the CWL era. They were probably on E-United the last time that happened. They've categorically never looked this inconsistent and bad for this long. They've taken huge losses. They lost to the Falcons and they lost to Optic, which are 2 of the worst teams on hardpoint. And they lost those opening hardpoints where they had less than 150 points. That's getting smoked. Yeah. You're just getting torched out of the gate. Sure, Pred went mental and won, but dude, you cannot be letting that happen if you're the Atlanta Faze right now. And it just, to me, I would be concerned because they've historically been slipping up, but it's the rate of slip-ups is increasing. They're consistently choking more. They're consistently dropping more maps, and I don't know, going into this event, like it feels like, they're qualified for champs. They just need to get hot in a couple months. Like they're worried about July, June. They're not worried about right now. So, I mean, it does feel like this is going to be a major where you might not want to count on them.
I think the other thing is like Celium, watching him play Optic this last couple of days, he did not have a great game 4. Yep. He did really bad in that game 4 that they closed out on. And ultimately, I think Optic lost that more than Faze won it. But it is interesting to see that like you don't see Celium not perform in a lot of ways. He's the hardest
100%.
player to kill in the league, and people are scared of him. But when he doesn't perform, it's like, this is a weird spot. And I think what is crazy about that Faze roster is they have had bad moments. The Tiny Terrors have had bad moments. Celium has had bad moments, and they still find a way to win.
They do.
And that's like, when you look at them, it's like, how worried can you really be on a team that does find a way to win?
Yeah, I mean, and to me, it's, speaking on the Celium side, it's, when you look at it from a statistical perspective, like he is the best stats player on their team right now. Yeah. But the thing that freaks me out is he's the lowest engagement rate of the whole team. Yeah. Your guy with the highest KD, your guy with the most consistent ability to trade, your guy with the most consistent ability to win is getting in the least amount of gunfights. Like, I don't know if their positioning is off, if they're playing messy. Like, you see it a lot of times, whether it's Red Card or Hacienda, it's like, it just feels like they get caught on weird rotations. They get caught out of place. They don't rotate well. They scrap a whole hill, and it's like, I mean, yeah, when you're getting beat by over 100 points in a hard point, you're making a lot of mistakes. It's not one map. It's not one hill. It's not one rotation. I mean, it's fundamental problems. And I think that they're just playing sloppy. They're playing like they don't care. They're playing like they're not afraid of teams. And, at the end of the day, like, this is a pro league. You can argue that 3 or 4 teams maybe shouldn't be in there, but, there's probably 8 to 10 teams that are absolute killers, that are professionals for a reason, that are teams that on any given Sunday can win. And it's like, if you are playing those guys and you slip up and you don't care, like, it's pretty easy to lose. And like, that's why it's, it's hard to look forward and think this is the team to beat in this form. That's not to say they're not going to be. If you had a power rating, they're not being one. They're going to be one straight at the champs, straight until they probably don't lose at champs. Yep. But I mean, it is a little bit sketchy for them right now.
It is, yeah.
So the last thing we want to hop into as it relates to the Call of Duty is we are going to be doing a little bit of predictions. I know I don't want to be doxing the show that you're going to be on later today with the weeds of it, but we're going to first hop in. What is going to be your good surprise of this upcoming Major 3?
So the surprise for me, I think, so we're seeing a little bit of an upswing from the Heretics. I like the Heretics as a surprise. It is a home major for them. I think that they are coming from a place of darkness, and ultimately, with the addition of Super, it's like they're looking like a different team. So I think them being considered a top 3 team, this will really be their test. And so they're a surprise for me at this point. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the intro to that is going to be Boston and Falcons both. You could say a good surprise is them winning a series, and I think they're both going to do it. I mean, I think that's crazy that the good surprise is them winning a series, but I think both of those teams are on a good uptick. I think both of those teams can get it done. I think that it's going to be fun to probably watch 2 teams that, if you would have asked us 30 days ago, are they going to be winning anytime the rest of the year? We just said no. So to me, that's what I'm looking forward to. So
who is your surprise?
Boston and Falcons.
Boston and Falcons.
Each are going to win.
Each are going to win just a series. Okay, interesting. Cool. Okay, let's start on the flop side. I have for my flop, the one and only Green Wall has fallen. I don't think that Sky's going to perform. I don't think that they're going to do well.
We're not getting sure Skies. That's sad.
That's right. Absolutely not. What about you? Give me your flop.
For me, the flop, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, it's the hometown. They're not the heroes. This time they're gonna be the heroes. I think the Ravens are going to do not the greatest. Unfortunately, I don't think Dylan Rex, he's not doing good for my namesake. So I can't imagine that they're going to go very far in this. The team doesn't look good. I don't think it's Rex's fault. It's a lot of problems. I do think it's an interesting choice picking him up, but the ownership of that organization is a little bit questionable at times, and feels like you're trying to buy people with packs of chewing gum and free mints maybe at this point. So I don't know what you got to do to get that roster better. I feel bad for TJ.
Yeah.
But
would you put the blame on TJ?
I mean,
Slasher.
I think TJ's fine. But yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a surprise. I mean, they've actually won some series that I didn't think they would win.
100%. Yeah. 100%. And then moving on to what we think is going to be a finals team.
Yep.
This is going to be no surprise to anybody who has watched this show so far. Finals team for me, the Beans taking them the whole way.
Oh, really?
We're getting Ultra in the finals. Okay. We're getting Beans with the strut up there. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Beans for you and the Ultra. I think there's 3 teams that can go into this category. Sure. I think you could put the Surge in there as well. I think you could put 100 Thieves. But I'm actually going tried and true, even though our last segment was just about how much Faze suck. They do find a way to win, so I am putting Faze in the finals. I think they're a shoe-in.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be up to one of those, I would say 4 other teams, Ultra, Surge, Heretics, Thieves. One of those is going to end up against them, but it'll be Faze in the finals. Okay, last but certainly not least, our wild card team. I am going to go, what your surprise is my wild card, the Boston Breach. I think that they do have the potential. They've shown us this last split that they can show up. Will they?
We'll see.
They're a little bit of a wild card, right? So the odds of that one, if you're going to take 5-1 on the odds, I'm taking 5-1. We'll give it a shot. What about you?
For me, there's going to be a beloved DFR, which is a double first round. I think we're going to see 2 teams get knocked out with 2 losses straight. That's non-loser bracket teams. I think we're going to see 2 teams from the upper bracket get kicked down. I think that Boston Optic series, you're going to see one of those get knocked down, and they're going to be playing a Falcons team that's looking pretty scary. And then you're going to see the Carolina Royal Ravens probably get knocked to the losers bracket and probably go home quick. So I think we're going to see 2 double first-round losses, 2 teams from the winner side, straight home, 9th place.
All right, well, we'll see. I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting major, and it's in Miami. What a great place to go.
Boca Raton. That's all it is.
So we'll see who's going to Miami after that, but we're just going to switch gears. We're going to go to some League of Legends. We saw Cloud9 and FlyQuest play against each other, which, if I'm honest, I looked at it and I said, this is a FlyQuest win. Through and through, FlyQuest is going to go into there, but it didn't happen that way.
Not at all.
C9 showed up, slapped them down. Huge plays on that side. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it was a beatdown, tried and true from the beginning, off the rip. You could argue very early on we got to see a kill up top by Thanatos to give C9 a quick lead. But then after that, the objectives were a little bit close back and forth. You thought, okay, cool, FlyQuest, they're gonna kind of come back here. And then you saw an interesting move where at some point where Blabber nearly had a crazy Vi kill in the bot lane, didn't get it, and they're like, okay, this is the chance FlyQuest needed. We've been stalling long enough. Here they come, and boy, did they not come. It ended up being a combo of Loki and Sven coming through, and I mean, dude, they just massacred them. It was brutal. After about 10-15 minutes into the game, it was the most one-sided affair. They took everything. They took the map, took the objectives, kills, all of it, you name it, one-way route. I do think this sheds a little bit of light onto the best of one is a little bit dodgy at time because you could put a little bit of pressure on the Ivern pick. Didn't really help at all. So, maybe in a best of 3, you get a little bit better team comp going into the next 2 matches. So it's interesting to me because, before they even played FlyQuest, they had to play Liquid. So they got like the 2 hardest games back-to-back on the weekend. C9 handled them both, got their business handled, moved through, top of the bracket. They look like the best team right now in America, but I don't know how that fares.
Well, and I think that is the question of, is this, a battle of 2 great teams in America that are actually making up for whatever the international scene looks like. We have a KC that looks really, really good in LEC. We have a couple teams over there that look great. It's like those guys are sharpening each other and making them better. And I think the question becomes, is the C9 versus FlyQuest matchup a good enough scrim to be able to compare against the rest of the world? And I think no.
Yeah, I think no as well. I don't think we're sharpening any swords over here. I think we're dulling them, if anything. And then, I would say, dude, KC, their fan base, mental, the supporter section they have, absolutely crazy. And it feels like all of Europe kind of bands together and kind of pushes forward with them. You got G2 over there, perennial powerhouses, always look good. But, when you look at that C9 versus FlyQuest, it's like, hey, we got FlyQuest. They're undefeated, the face of America. They're going to go on and do great things. And you just watch them just get hands by another American team. It's like, and then on top of that, it's like we said before, that Blabber play, the Vi miss, I guess. It's like those little bitty micro movements that ended up costing, they still won. It didn't cost them anything major, but it's like, dude, if you're playing a Korean team, you don't get that chance. You can't make that mistake. You can't, one little slip up like that, you're done. Whole series chalked, move on.
Yeah. Another stat point I had over here was that Bwipo actually had 3,000 more damage than Thanatos in the top lane and in the team fights. So that Rumble pick was really, really good for them. But ultimately it was not enough. And Bwipo really didn't show up in that lane against Thanatos at all. So
totally. The kill potential just wasn't there at times. Early on he got kind of caught out and then it was close to the middle, but I don't know. It's tough. In a best of 1 series, you're just so blind going in. It's like, the Lucian mid pick I didn't really love on FlyQuest side. So it's tough. It's one of those, you hope we get to see more best of 3. We want to see Fearless Draft. That's what's exciting right now. This best of 1 nonsense, just get rid of it. Let's move on to groups.
It's a different series than best of 3. We'll see.
100%.
It's going to change the game for sure.
I think the next thing that we want to hop into is going to be our breakout segment. There's been a whole lot of turmoil and, chaos, if you will, inside of the collegiate space recently. And that's something that me and CJ actually have worked with pretty heavily over the past, 5 to 8 years or so. And that's from running different SEC championships. You worked at a company that basically did college recruiting at scale. And, we've kind of seen it all. But there's a tweet that I wanted to pull up really quick. So this tweet's going to be from David Dickert. It says, Esports peeps, what do y'all think the solution to the rapid burnout we are seeing in the collegiate esports space among directors, coordinators, and coaches? Yep. Is it an institutional problem? Is it an industry problem? Like, what are we missing here? Like, what is the problem with collegiate esports? It feels like nobody wants to be a director. Nobody wants to be a coach. Everything's always falling apart. It's always on fire. It's always burning. Like, what's your take? What's the current problem? Is it institutional or is it industry?
I think the objectives of all parties are not aligned. And so the best way to describe that is that the college, they want something, right?
Sure.
But I can tell you the one thing they don't want is really, they don't want competitive esports. They're not interested in like having the best team and then turning that into what college football is for them. Because I think some ways we think that's what drives success from this collegiate space, right? Is like, hey, let's turn it into college football. I think me and you see it that way.
Yep.
I don't think they see it that way. I think this is a kind of a toy that they're playing with to drive marketing dollars to say, hey, you should come to our school because we have a cool esports lab and you can be a part of this community and team. And so that is the thing that like the colleges say, hey, this is important. Where the player is going to look at something very different on what's important because ultimately they're going to want to play at a high level. They're going to want to work on a team and potentially go pro. And so there has to be some kind of path to pro. And we've seen some players that have performed at a high level in college go on to play professionally. Then that's great, right?
Yep.
We love that, right? And but the alignment of like what that player wants and what the school wants is so different.
100%.
And then the dot that connects both those things is a college director. College directors are untrained in the space right now on how to manage the school and the kids' priorities. I don't think that they found the perfect marriage. Now, some people have done well in that kind of atmosphere, but that's a really challenging atmosphere to do well in because those alignment of goals is not there.
Sure. I also think the big piece to me is that, when you look at a lot of these people, a lot of times you're seeing it on Twitter, you're seeing the discussion kind of bleed there, and it's like, in the nicest way, it just feels childish. Like, a lot of these people, we're not the youngest people in the world, but we're also in the college landscape, we'd be pretty ancient. But a lot of these kids are freshly out of college. They're trying to figure out kind of their path, and they just don't have that full grasp of experience of kind of like how everything works currently. And I think that's a huge fundamental gap that creates, seismic issues because, we look at what the CCL, the College COD League, is doing. I think that league is actually a really well-flourishing league, but that feels to me like club baseball would. It doesn't feel like Division I. We're competing for the College Baseball World Series. And that's objectively fine because, we, in the nicest way, we got enough problems in esports right now. Like the professional COD League is sketchy enough, much less the Challengers COD League. But so now that we have the College COD League, that feels like a club sport. That actually feels well-sanctioned. That arguably might be the best entity in all of, Call of Duty right now. So it just feels like a huge misalignment of priorities. To me, I'm big team. We need to go in the intramural direction. We need to go in the club direction. I think this D1 path just isn't really sustainable currently.
Sure.
Because if you're the next Faker and you're 16 years old and you're going to be the best phenom in the history of American League of Legends, you're not going to go to college to play. Like, that doesn't matter if it's Duke. It doesn't matter if it's Kentucky, Ohio State, none of those. You're not going to go play. You're going to join a pro team and you're going to go pro.
Sure.
So that path to pro doesn't really make the most sense. So then it has to be back to your questions. What can help a collegiate's admissions?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they want kids to come through. They want kids to be prideful in their program. And you'll still get that out of club sports. You'll still get that out of intramurals. It just feels like a weird push to try to go for something it's not. And that's not to devalue. Like, I think Concord Esports have done a fantastic job. I think Akron have done a fantastic job. And those programs look absolutely awesome. And those aren't the people I ever see complaining. So
yeah. And that's what it is like. There's a lot of college directors on there that like go to Twitter and complain about like how to solve these things. And then the flip side of this is like they're not getting paid to do the things that maybe the university wants them to do. And then they have their own priorities on how to build the esports scene in the collegiate landscape. And that's like, those two things, like I said, the objectives are not in line with each other. They're counter to each other. So like how much time do you spend on one thing to the other? And then, hey, I'm making $40,000 a year and there's no upside. Like, I'm not going to get more
100%.
money. The only two ways to get more upside is they show up with a sponsorship deal, which they can cut themselves potentially into. And the other thing is building your program big enough to where there's enough admissions to pay for the program. But that's not the way the college looks at that. They don't look at you bringing more kids in as more dollars that go into your pocket. They go into the university's pocket
100%.
to fund teachers and admissions and whatever. And my bigger thing on the back end of it is like, yo, is that really worthwhile for the student? Because they're going to have to pay the tuition, and that's really, I don't know if that's a good thing for them. I think school is good for some folks, but not all folks. And maybe the esports folks, it's not good for. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, and this is something you and I have joked about before, the transition from being a fun kid that has a great time in high school to you're not going to make it pro. Like, what's the beer league? What's the intermediary? Like, what is the intramural, even at a like non-collegiate space? But the other side of it too, that's crazy that I don't think enough people talk about is like, you know, you're talking about brokering some of these deals for colleges. You know, I hope creators get contracts that would be upwards of $10,000 to $20,000 a month just to use a Logitech or Razer keyboard, right? And it's like when I think about those type of transactions, if I'm an esports director, seeing the kid that goes to my school make 20 grand a month just to play on a keyboard is going to be demotivating. It's going to be demoralizing. Like, it's not going to feel good in any capacity. But when you're the Logitech or the Razer, it's like that is a way easier sponsorship because like that person is pushing for so much value as a content creator and a streamer. So it's, when I think about the college programs and the things I think they should put more, emphasis on is stuff like this. It's how do you increase production quality? How do you provide value to a space? Like, what is the thing that you can do to help enhance the industry? Like, the industry will pay you if you can enhance things. The industry will pay you if you can provide viewership. It is not a challenging equation. But whenever you go to, your local collegiate esports event and there's 73 viewers watching, it's like, Logitech is not going to pay out the wazoo for 73 viewers. They might do it as a tax write-off. They might do it because they support the collegiate space and they want to help kids grow and develop. But like, you're not getting rich off this. You're not getting celebrity status out of this. You're probably not going to go pro off this. And that's a hard reality to take. But again, I think we lean in the intramural sports space. I think we lean in the club sports space. We lean in the beer league space. But D1 college, it's not it for me.
Yeah, I mean, let us know what you think. Throw that down in the comments, hit
100%.
a like, give us the questions. We'd love to talk to you more about the college esports space. We wanted to see it grow. We want to see it be successful. But right now, we got to talk Valorant.
100%.
We got to go into this. We got to understand NRG versus Leviathan. They were playing for a playoff spot,
for the seat.
But they had to make it, and NRG ended up coming up on top. Leviathan not going to make it. We're not going to see them in playoffs. We're not going to see them for a couple months.
100%. And this is from a team that, they got Demon 1 on that squad. Like, that is arguably, 6 months ago, people were arguing, is that the GOAT? That is a squad that, again, 6 months ago, you would have said for sure is going to be top 3 in America. No questions asked. They're not even making the playoffs, much less making it to Toronto. It's insane to me. When you look at it, like, I mean, Tex, Demon won both. Like, the series was wasted. Like, it was not even a matter of did NRG win or Leviathan lose. Leviathan lost. Like, that's how it felt. You can't buy defense. You're playing on Fracture where you need to be more aggressive whenever you're trying to retake. You need to be more aggressive. Try to push that tempo. It just felt like slow plays that didn't fizzle out. And then when they didn't fizzle out, you ended up getting bodied and picked off. And then you just ripped to shreds. And it does feel like, in the contrast of Valorant and Counter-Strike, it feels like Counter-Strike, you have all the time in the world, but in Valorant, it feels like you have no time.
Yeah.
Just because of abilities, gap close everything, it makes it feel like such a condensed pathway. And it just felt like, funnily enough, Leviathan's time just kept running out.
Yeah.
To the point to where they're now out, not even in the tournament.
Well, and Fracture's one of those maps where you have to kind of go out and get it, right? There's essentially 4 lanes on that map, and you get to push each side to figure out where they're kind of setting up for. And I think you have to kind of show on all 4 of those sides and take some space. Because if you just sit on the site, it's a 5v2 every time, and you can't get out. Like, you are now trapped in that site.
And you can't fully rotate to the other side of the map.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, like, I think that Leviathan had opportunities to win this map. That's the map they needed to win. They were up at one point, and NRG kind of came back on them on that defensive side because NRG was taking that space. They were getting information and knowledge where Leviathan just didn't do a great job on offense being able to solidify those rounds. And I think that's one of those things where you need Demon 1 to show up in those moments, be your entry, slay everybody out, but he didn't do it.
And you really needed him to close it out in regulation because the moment it went to OT, you're chalked.
That's right.
You lose that OT, go into the next game, chalked. Like, your mentals are so far just thrown awry. Like, it just felt like there was never a chance to regain. And again, that's one of those where it's really hard because, like, this is not my words, but in the past 6 months, people have been arguing that Demon 1 is considered to be one of the greatest Valorant players there is. And it's like, dude, if you're one of the greatest players it is, A, you have to be able to come back after losing in overtime. B, you should be the person that clutches up so you don't lose in overtime. And we didn't get either of those. So it's hard to see, but it is what it is.
You're also playing against Som, Ethan, like FNS. Like, these are some tried and true freaking Valorant players. Lots of veterans on that squad that were able to kind of show up in that moment. Now, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I think both these teams suck.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like, just to be clear, like both of these teams are bottom of the barrel teams. They did not have a great regular season. They're not going to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of them, I think, would have gotten a win in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to change. But I do want to shift gears to, we've got G2 and Crew are going to be the number 1 seeds moving into this bracket.
Yeah.
We're going to have the playoff set to see who gets out of America.
Yep.
I would argue the way the last Masters looked, G2 looked like probably the best team there. They just didn't happen to win. America might still be on top, but what do you think this bracket's about to look like? You taking Crew, you taking G2, any dark horses in there? Like, what is it looking like?
I love a good dark horse.
Hey, yo.
G2, I mean, it's the same thing with them in some ways in the finals in Bangkok. Like, they had that game won.
They did.
That was a best of 5 series. They had won, and they still look hot. Jogamo looks good. Yeah. That G2 team, I think, is the team to beat, right? I don't think Crew's going to beat them, right? Yeah. And in a lot of ways, they're going to play against the Sentinels or a Cloud9. I don't think that's much of a matchup. I think those guys are going to slay out. Crew's going to end up playing an MIBR or 100 Thieves. I think that's closer. Yeah. I do, especially the 100 Thieves. No, MIBR. I think MIBR versus Crew is probably the match to watch for who's second in overall in the league. But I think G2 is a shoo-in. All these other teams, I don't know. I think it should be Crew, MIBR, G2 that make it out of this whole thing in the end. I think there's a potential upset between C9, Sentinels, 100 Thieves. How that bracket kind of shakes out on the bottom will be interesting at best.
100%.
But I think G2 is the hope for America if we're going to look at a hope. So
yeah. I mean, you could argue that a C9 team could get hot, a Sentinel team could get hot, or maybe a 100 Thieves team could get hot. I'm glad that Pat isn't here today, just because I'm going to say something that he's going to upset him. I don't think Sentinels or 100 Thieves are making it. I think the 3 teams are not going to include either of those squads. I think those are you'd argue Sentinels are the pretty boys, the popular team. 100 Thieves is probably the next most popular team when it comes to the U.S., and I don't think either of them are going to be making it out. I personally think C9 will probably be joining Crew and G2 out of here, but we'll have to see. That's going to be a fun series. I mean, it's going to be exciting to watch what's going to be coming through with that.
And ultimately, we are definitely voting against the fans right now.
Yeah,
I mean, the fans want to see 100 Thieves Sentinels. I'm with you. I'm looking right at you, buddy, okay? I want them to be there too. Like, I'm with you. I'm a Zekin fan. I watched that kid grow up through the high school esports landscape. I'm surprised he was your example. He went right into the pro scene. He was a great player. He's done a lot of amazing things. He's not going to be enough, right? It's just not enough right now, and it's so sad to see. And I'm sorry, Pat. I wish you were here to defend them. Yeah. They need defense, okay? They're getting none.
They need more than defense because I don't think they'd be finding it. But moving on to the big boy, the big behemoth, Counter-Strike. We're going to be hopping down into the land down under. We're going down to Melbourne for IEM. It's going to be a good time.
Yep.
$1 million on the line. There's no Spirit, which is unfortunate. Vitality, so dominant going in, they put a bounty on Vitality's head. It's $100K if you beat Vitality, which, I mean, let's be honest, if you're ESL, it's a good move. That $100K bounty is saving you $1 million for when they win the Grand Slam. So it's a good move on that. But high level, like, what are your initial thoughts on this IEM setup? Stage is set. It's looking good.
I'm a Swiss fan. We're not doing Swiss. We got Group A, Group B. We got a double elimination bracket. I think that does actually cater to some type of competitive environment. It's a little bit of a slow build. I think Swiss is also a slow build. Like, you love to see the 2-2 matches, who's going to make it and who's going to qualify. Now you end up with, you don't end up with as many hot matches. I think you end up with 1 or 2 in the lower bracket that end up being really good. And then that winner's bracket, depending on how the seeding worked, they get there. I think this is a little bit of a lopsided bracket in some ways.
Oh, yeah. More than a little.
I have Vitality and Falcons on the bottom there.
Sure.
Trying to figure out, which one of those two. Is Falcons going to be enough? I changed my mind on this probably by the hour. Because I look at it, I'm like, maybe Falcons is good enough. And
it's also, this is the first time we're actually seeing that squad be a squad.
Totally.
Which is crazy. So it's like, you are immediately being thrown directly into the line of fire.
Yeah. And then you look at the other side. I want to root for Faze. I think Faze has a lot of powerhouses on it. I love the Mongols. That's kind of my underdog team right now, though. They're not looking great. And then Mouse is Mouse, right?
Totally.
They only one who showed up against Vitality at all. They took 2 maps off of them on the last event. So it's like
100%.
I think that when I look at it, it's like, it sucks for Team Liquid right now because they're about to get slapped around by some Vitality. But
I couldn't think of a better time to start going into our predictions. So we're gonna have our good surprise first.
Yeah.
Mine's gonna be Team Liquid. I think Liquid's going to be. I think Liquid's going to be a good surprise. Now I do
against Vitality.
Okay, well I think there's a losers bracket. That's fine. I do think that they're still trying to adjust to Shuhei. It's going to be exciting to see the integration continue. I do not think that integration has been as smooth as the Monacy one is about to be.
Yep.
But I do think we're going to get to see a little bit of life out of them. I think probably getting an opening round win and then trying to move forward. The Vitality matchup is probably going to be really hard. Then they're going to look down to the losers bracket, try to sneak their way in. So to me, that's going to be my good surprise. What you got?
I do love, my heart is with you on Team Liquid, by the way. Team Liquid was one of my favorites coming into this year, and they have not performed. I don't think they've done well. I want to root with you.
Yeah.
My good surprise is actually Faze.
Okay.
And it's more about who they kind of got matched up against. I think the Mongols have not been winning the close games.
Yeah.
As I say that, they beat Complexity today, but Complexity is Complexity, right?
Yeah.
I think that Faze can beat the Mongols, and they actually have a shot against Mouse. I really do. I think if Faze does play, if we don't get the crappy Elige that's sad and tired because he's moving or whatever the crap, and he plays with his team and he's the guy we need that wins on the flank all the time,
they can get hot.
They're going to do well,
They can get hot.
But if they don't, then they're going to be crappy. And so they're my big surprise right now. The big flop for me, transitioning right into it, is the Mongols, right? I want to root for the Mongols just as much as I want to root for America. I love Mongols. But they always play to who they're playing against. They never play up or down, or they do play up or down. They never play, their game.
Totally.
Their game. And you see that because they get streaky at times. Techno will be hot at times, and sometimes he doesn't, right? And so there's different players on that roster that have disappointed me at times. So they're my big flop. I'm not rooting for them anymore. I'm kind of going to put them in the right bucket they need to go.
My problem with before we get into mine, my problem with the Mongols is you cannot be the underdog for 2 straight years.
That's right.
You've been here. We just got to get rid of this. They're the underdog nonsense.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest good surprise is actually, or my biggest flop is going to be Mouse. I think their hot streak is going to be over. This is going to be the end of their great finals run. You just can't get beat that bad by Vitality that many times and make me feel any different about it. I also think that, I think there's another team that's probably going to surprise us a little bit. We can just, transition right on over to our finals team.
Go for it. Yep.
I got a good feeling it's going to be the Falcons in there. Monacy's looking good. With Nico, the pairing is back. The duo's back. It takes so much pressure off of Nico because everybody's giving Nico a ton of flack over the past quarter. But it's now that Monacy's in the server, it's dude, you got to worry about him. So now you let Nico get a little free. So I can't imagine a reality where they're not going to be in the finals. And, we'll get to some wild cards.
I mean, they beat a bad Saw this morning. So it's hey, they're going to, but they were going to do that.
Good warm-up match.
Yeah, it's a good warm-up match. Going into Navi, I think that's going to be interesting.
Nice test.
That'll be a nice little once again, not the heat is not fully on, but they're kind of warming up to it. I don't know. The Falcons is kind of I lean hey, they could do this, but I also lean they're still a little bit unproven. We've seen some Falcons do some dumb stuff. They haven't been winning overtime without Monacy. Monacy has to be the reason they do win in overtime because if they don't, there's no believing in them, right?
Hey, they started 0-2 last time.
That's
They
right.
had a crazy run.
And Nico is good enough as a leader that he can get them kind of going. They played before in G2, and so there's a little bit of... I like your pick.
Yeah.
I do like your pick. It is not a shoo-in pick. Mine is a shoo-in pick. I'm taking Vitality in the finals. They have looked good. They're going to make it to the finals. I don't know who they're going to play against. I would love to see them play against Faze. That's what I'd love to play against too.
Because you want to make $1 million and win the Grand Slam.
That's right. Yeah, I want them to win the Grand Slam. They look great. Zywoo looks amazing. I think Apex. They have the full thing going on that side. I think it'd be hard to root against them, so I have to take them in the finals. Last one, wild card for me. You took 2 on the last wild card. I didn't know I could take 2. It got wily. I'd love to see Team Liquid and Na'Vi make a run, or Na'Vi. Those two, I think those guys can upset. I think Na'Vi could beat the Falcons.
Sure.
It's a long shot. It's a wild card shot, but it's possible.
That's great.
And I'd love to see Liquid kind of go through. They're going to lose the Vitality. There's no shot in the book there, but they could make a lower bracket run that could be pretty cool. They're going to end up against a Virtus Pro or a FlyQuest or a Saw. They can make it through that one, and then they'll end up seeing against somebody else on the back end. Maybe it's Na'Vi, maybe it's Falcons. Who knows? But we'll see. Those are my 2. Go ahead, give me your wild card.
My wild card. I don't think we could set up this contradiction more than what we have. My wild card is Vitality's head bonus will be cashed in. Vitality's going to have to make a loser's bracket run. I don't think they're just clean sheeted straight to the final. Somebody's cashing that in.
The Falcons.
Somebody is going to kick them into loser's bracket. They're going to make a loser's bracket. And I'm not saying they're not going to be in the finals. They're probably going to still be in the finals. I'm saying they're going to the loser's bracket. That's my hot sauce.
Where are the odds on that bet? Can I take?
No, there's no odds. No, I'm not paying out. No shot on that. But that is going to wrap up our esports stuff, and we're going to transition into the best segment, buy or sell.
Buy it or sell it. Here we are. We're buying and selling. We got 7 topics for you today. We had 6, but right before the show, we added one for you. And this one's going to be the really hard driving game. Okay, so this is an amazing. If you got a clip, you got to play the clip. What happens is you get a crazy hammer coming out of nowhere, you start screaming, and then you're like, oh, now I can maneuver, right?
Yeah,
but I have to scream. You're going to wake up.
It's not just a ho, it's a ho.
Ah! The clips are great on it. I'm gonna buy it. I think it's great. I think it'll wake up every wife in America that's got a husband who's just screaming into the microphone late at night. And I think we need.
Do you make the wife play, or?
Oh my gosh, maybe she screams in the microphone for you.
That'd be wild. I'm buying this game for you. I'm probably never gonna play this game, but it does look really fascinating. The clip piece is wild. I'm certain we're gonna get to see some great internet clips over the next little bit. The next game that we're gonna be adding to the block on the buy sell here is gonna be called Rematch. This is going to be from Slow Clap. They created a game called Sifu, which is really highly rated, like kind of brawler, I don't know, like a weird Yakuza type game.
Yep.
This is not that at all. This is a soccer game. They're basically using it as like a kind of like a dethroning of Rocket League, if you will. Looks super, super fun. They've been doing a bunch of close testing for it. Everybody has been playing this over the last week. You buying or selling this?
I saw Speed play it, and he was having a great time with it. I think one of the things that I don't like playing about the soccer games specifically we played, like FC or what, it's just a little bit slower.
Sure.
This is faster. It's a little bit more arcadey, which makes it fun. I get the knockout vibe. Do you remember the dodgeball knockout game? I like it. I think it'll be fun. But it is $30. I looked at it today. It's $30, and that's expensive. And I don't know what the replayability is going to be on it. But it is hype and cool, so I'm going back and forth. I'm going to buy it. It looks fun. I like cool games like this. Go ahead.
I'm selling. If this was free to play, it'd be worth it. But at not being free to play, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There used to be a game called Sega Soccer Slam with a team called El Fuego.
Yep.
They were fire. That game was sick. I think this game, to me, doesn't equal that game. If this is a free to play, if you want to compete with Rocket League, you got to be free to play. So I just don't think you can charge $30 and do well. I think it's a lot of good PR. I do think everything with Kai Sinnott and Speed at the end of the day feels like a really good paid promo. This feels like a really good paid promo, and I'm certain it's going to push a lot of units. So,
hey,
good on them.
Cool. Next, Fortnite. What's more to say about Fortnite? We just sell it immediately. Right?
Just first sell.
How do I sell that? Okay, so Darth Jar Jar coming to the game. You have to wait. I have to finish before you can sell. Okay, sir. I have to get all my specifics on that.
Sell.
Darth Jar Jar.
Sell.
It's a Star Wars themed stuff, community driven. Darth Jar Jar was created inside of Fortnite. Should that guy get paid? Who knows? It's a great tool for kids. Fortnite is one of the biggest games ever created. I don't know if you know that. It's got one of the greatest monetary models behind it because there's so many skins that kids buy with their mom's credit cards.
I'm not going to sell that one. I agree.
I'm with you, Sell. It's lame. I hate this stuff.
Dude, this is insane to me. I mean, if Darth Jar Jar anything to me should be an automatic sell for every human in existence. It's crazy. The theory is wild. But the fact that all of the other Disney release stuff from last week has reason for excitement. And then there is this. I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy this. Again, I'm glad that Pat's not here because he's probably already bought it. Like, it's not even out yet. He's already loaded the V-Bucks, ready to roll. Like, he's going to have it for sure.
That's why it sells, just so we're clear. Like,
sure. Not in the good sell. That's the bad for us sell.
Yeah.
I do think it's cool that whoever created this crazy wild fanfic theory of Darth Jar Jar finally getting some praise. Disney seemingly is acknowledging it. That part is cool, but the rest of it, just lots of sells all around.
Yeah.
The next one that we are going to hop into is going to be...
Go it.
You just already know what it's going to be.
Just kidding.
I'm just going to put a picture on the screen. That's how we start. Yeah, that's KFC as a toothbrush, but most importantly, toothpaste. KFC has a toothbrush and KFC has toothpaste. Not only do they have this, it's sold out and it's reselling for like $80 on eBay right now, which is a whole.
I wonder if it's just a gag gift.
That would be a good, not for $80, but it would be a good gag gift.
$80?
No, that's the resale.
Oh, okay, the resale.
Yeah, that's
the black
the eBay
market's
listing.
got it, so it's probably $7 or whatever.
But so you brushing your teeth with chicken fried
No, I don't
grease
even.
or whatever
I don't
it is?
even like. There's like, I mean, the kids have the cotton candy flavor. There's all kinds of crazy flavors.
You're just a
give me
spearmint kind of guy.
Just give me the mint. Call it a day. I sell this. I hate this. It's dumb. I think it's cool that it's selling though. I guess I don't understand it, but somebody out there does.
The toothbrush part, I get. The toothpaste, that's just too much. I'm selling it as well. I just can't. It's just too weird. I mean, I am the cotton candy guy. I'm not doing this.
What?
I couldn't do that. That's off. I don't even use toothpaste. I use like little Bite guys from a company called Bites. Very lovely company.
Not sponsored, but
not at all.
But
we'd love
appreciate
to.
it.
Yeah,
But we
we'd
love it. Okay, cool. Next one, VTuber. Right, the anime folk in the corner that are you're watching on the Twitch. They don't. You keep doing this. You can't sell it till I'm done. Okay, you wait over there.
Already lost.
VTuber sensation coming out. I think a lot of this is people remaining anonymous on the internet. They want to be a little bit more not as face forward driven. On the back end of it is like people know who they are because of swatting and all these other issues that we've seen in this space. But a lot of VTubers coming out of nowhere. Peanut being a huge one that 100%. Are in Tarkov. We were watching a clip earlier today, and that guy's going crazy. It's funny to look at a Peanut screaming and trying to kill people. It does have some comical things going on with it. Are you buying or selling this?
Sell. Oh, yeah, we know we're going to sell. To me, it's like, it's weird because, like, you had Dream, who's a great example of somebody who was Anon, went un-Anon, did not pan out.
Yeah.
They're about to rebrand, maybe go back to Anon, not sure. There's other reasons why they didn't pan out. We won't get into those. But it's interesting because it's like, I would rather see people just be, in the nicest way, allowed to be who they want to be without getting doxxed, without getting any weird hate stuff. But then also, like, part of it, too, is like, not that Peanut is crazy, edgy, or dramatic or whatever, but it's like, I can see a reality where this is about to become very popular because of doc disrespect type personas, like really extreme personas, which I don't really have a problem with people having extreme personas. I mean, obviously stay within like, safety of humans. But other than that, it's like, be wild and have fun. This to me just feels like a mask. I mean, I know chicks have used this for a long time to like, maybe look better than they are, or like get a weird little anime girl down there or something like that. So I just never been a big fan of it. I think people just be what they want to be, and at the end of the day, send it.
I'm with you. This is a big vulnerability thing, right? People just need to be vulnerable, and ultimately, when you are scared to show yourself, it's because you're normally hiding something. And that's just my opinion on it. Just like, just own who you are, and like, if people don't like that, then like, they don't have to come watch, right? And that's my opinion on it. So I think sell too. I'm with you.
And I do think things like Peanut is a fascinating endeavor. It's a cool little quirky thing that I think should exist. Like, to me, I see it as more as like, stuff like guides and stuff like that. Like if you're doing a guide on how to play a game and you want to be little Master Chief in the bottom corner, like that's cool. Like that makes sense. That also is like brand unity to that sense. But other than that, like a lot of people are using it for not the right reasons. I'm not saying Peanut is. I think he might be actually the only one using it for the right reasons. But moving on to the next one, which is going to be Halo. Over the weekend, Halo had its first major. Optic Miracle Run. Through the lower bracket, all the way up, bracket reset, and getting the championship. You buying or selling? Halo's back.
Halo is back. No, it is not. I am selling this. The only reason that this exists is because of the community. The game is not good. There are 4 different levels in order to have a competitive esport. 1, it has to be watchable. 2, it has to have a community behind it. It has to have developer support, and it has to have an interesting meta. All of those 4 things, it's only got 1. It's got community support.
Good community.
It's holding on, right?
It is.
The matches this weekend were okay, right? It was fun to see Optic play against Nemesis and for them to pull the switch to make sure that they couldn't win that series, right? If they did or not, we'll never know.
100%.
But ultimately, I think that this game is, we know what it is. It needs a new face. It's dead. It needs we need a new game. We need Halo 3, we need
some Splitgate. It's fun.
Yeah, or I don't know. It's also too fast, not going to be watchable, all these different things. I'm selling this. I think Halo is not going to be around forever.
I'm going to buy this for one reason, and it's Nemesis. Nemesis social media team is lights out. Whoever that person is, you deserve a pay raise. Nemesis, you just got a new fan. I need to get one of those little plushies, set them right here. That little dude is adorable. I think it was a good event. It was fun. I mean, like you said, the matches were really good from a competitive standpoint. It was really, really good. I think that me and the 32 people that watched it had a great time.
You definitely did. Okay, last buy sell for you guys. Scientists engineered 5 people to see new colors. These are OLO colors.
Olo?
OLO. You've never seen them before. You can't even see these
a
colors.
Bluish green, if you will.
But there's 5 people out there, they can see colors that you can't see. What do you think about that?
I'm selling immediately. This is witchcraft and wizardry. I do not like this. I'm not even getting LASIK. I have contacts. I should get LASIK. My vision is terrible. I'm not risking anything as it relates to my body that is unnecessary. But 2, this is somehow going to so quickly turn us into Deus Ex, and we're going to be like mechanically. Like, could you imagine playing a dude in Counter-Strike who has a robo arm with perfect recoil? Like, we're about to be there. Like, this is tiny step in that direction. Selling it, let's say, as far away from this as possible. I want this to be my great-grandkids' problem, not my problem.
Huh, I'll buy it. I like the future technology. I like what it's going to do to our lives. I don't think it's going to be all bad. I think there will be some weird stuff, but I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff to come with it too. I don't like that these people are going to walk up to me like, hey, you see that color? And be like, no, I don't see that color. No, I can't 100%. See that color. I don't have the money to buy that color, you know?
Well, to be able to see. It's not even going to be DLC. Now you're going to be buying new colors in space, which is terrifying.
This is also very relevant. There's a new episode of Black Mirror out that's basically that, like putting something in your brain, but you have to pay the subscription in order to do the next thing. And so it's great. Watch Black Mirror. It's amazing.
No, don't do it. That's terrible. But that is all for our show today. Thank you guys for tuning in with my very special guest. Thank you for being here, CJ. Where do we normally get to find your beautiful face at?
Hey, so I'm on Queued Up. We rock a 4-person show. It's a little bit more in the weeds on some of these topics.
We get twice a week. We only get one.
That's right. We run it on Mondays and Thursdays. But we'd love to see you over in Queued Up. Go ahead and check out one of our videos on that side. But thanks for having me today on SkillDiff. It was really exciting. Pat is on vacation. He went to the beach. We love it.
Who gets to go on vacation?
Let him go on vacation from time to time. It's fine.
Crazy. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next one. Peace out.